Well, welcome to another live stream. I am Keith, and welcome to Life Journey Production Studios. Sorry I wasn't here last week. We had an interesting week, so I took the day off. Actually, long story, not going to get into it tonight, but it is good to be back. We've been gone for 2 weeks. We're going to talk about the RODECaster Pro version 2 tonight. I never get a lot of views on my channel when I cover the RODECaster Pro, and I haven't really talked a lot about it. But I really have never done any kind of deep dive into it. So tonight we're going to do our best to use my Skycams, and we're going to take a deep dive into it. If you want to also see a really cool video, Tom Buck has a pretty good video over on his channel. So just want to give a shout out to everybody that's here. I think, let me just get chat ready here to display. Yeah, there we go. So let's do chat on the air. So just want to welcome all you guys. It's good to have Doug here tonight. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your duo. So I hope that it's working good for you. And maybe tonight as we look at the Pro, if you don't know anything about the duo, it is the 2-channel version of the RODECaster Pro, and it's the RODECaster Pro Duo instead of the RODECaster Pro II. And we'll be looking at size comparison. I have my old RODECaster Pro and my second RODECaster Pro II, which is actually, let's see, it is right there behind me. And the other one is on my desk, and we'll be looking at that. It's good to have you back in town, Hank. And we weren't here last week, so I don't think you've missed anything. So last time I saw you, Hank, was in our quarterly Zoom gathering as you jumped on towards the end. It was great to have you. Let's see. DJ Ware, it's good to have you on the channel. Actually, my second oldest son, or actually my brother-in-law, does some carbon technology, making airplane parts, and he was talking to me when they were in town a few weeks ago, just about his concerns with security and all of that stuff. And I told him to go check out your channel. So if you guys haven't been over there to DJ Ware's channel, go check it out. It's good to have you in the house, David. Thank you for joining me. Let's see, got David also here from Down Under. It's good to have you here. And also we have Peter Milner. Good evening from the fellow RODECaster Pro II owner and filmmaker and editor based in Southwest UK. Well, it is great to have you. We love having new people join us on the channel, and a lot of us chat every week. It'll be great to chat with you tonight. It's good to have you here. You Step Productions from Florida. I'm digging the rave lights. Yeah, I did turn on my party lights. That was for hitting 2,000 subscribers. And so got 2 sky cams fired up tonight just because I've been redoing the studio. I have moved camera 3. We'll talk a little bit about that later. So I've kind of done some rewiring in the studio. It'll be fun to talk to you about that tonight. But welcome to you. So we got a couple Davids in the house. Austin, it's good to have you as well from You Step Productions. And again, make sure you go check out these channels, write them down in your notes tonight, and go over and check them out. It's good to have Jay. Jay was live last night. I wasn't on last night on Jay's live stream, but I appreciate his channel. Go check that out. It's growing, and lots of behind the scenes stuff on television broadcasting, and it is quite interesting when I get a chance to go over there, pretty intelligent conversations about broadcasting as well, and it's always good to join that. I guess I'm a minute ahead. I don't know what that means, but Beyond 280, greetings all. Thanks to Tom Buck for tuning me into this channel. Yeah, I was over on Tom Buck's live stream, and at the very end, I tried to catch Tom's, but for some reason, I didn't catch it when it was started, and so I got to be over there, and he gave me a shout out. So Appreciate Tom Buck. He's always been a great supporter. He's been in the chat a couple times, and he gave me a chat out. So there's some guys here tonight joining us from Tom Buck's channel, and he has got some great videos again on the RodeCaster Pro II. Lots of microphones, all kinds of great things on his channel. Volume seems to be a tad low tonight. Okay, well, we will bring this up just a touch. And I see that I've been playing around with things in the studio, so I apologize. Should be a tad bit better. Let's see. Yeah, audio is always low compared to ads. I try not to blow you guys out, but I'm in the yellow. So maybe not -12, but I'm above -15. I can bring this up just a little more. I just don't want to infuse any noise. I do have my overhead mic. I'm using my SM7B tonight because you're going to hear a comparison between it and the Podmic right here a little bit later tonight. So I hope you guys will stay tuned. It's not going to be a short stream tonight, so buckle in, and we'll get as much done as we possibly can after we're done saying hi to everybody in the chat. And again, if you just joined me, we are talking about the RodeCaster Pro version 2 tonight, and I got one on my desk, I got one over my shoulder, and I've got a RodeCaster Pro version 1 here. We're going to look at size comparisons. We're going to compare the SHURE SM7B Shure microphone versus a RODE Podmic, and they have a new Podmic USB as well. Double the price, but double the fun, and so you can go check that out. I will have some links later tonight if I don't already have them in the description. And if you use those associate Amazon links, I would appreciate it because I do get a little bit money back from Amazon. They are affiliate links, but you pay the same, and it gives you an opportunity to support the channel. So, okay, well, we'll check on the volume here in a minute. It's good to have you, Joe, tonight. It's good to have you beyond 280. He says, my channel's being reworked, new name and new format coming. Well, when you pop in Tuesday nights, please let us know so we can go check out your revamped channel. And I have some other people here tonight that have revamped their channels as well. Joe is one of those guys. He has a channel. And again, hopefully Joe will put his channel in the description tonight because he's here tonight under Tech for Fun. Jay didn't hear a change. Well, I did. I brought the RodeCaster Pro volume up 1 dB. Let's go into the gain settings. I'll boost that 1 more dB. Yeah, I did 1 dB clear across the board. 1 dB inside the RodeCaster Pro software control. 1 dB in my output volume from my RodeCaster Pro. 1 dB on the slider, and I just went up 1 dB in input gain. So I don't know if that's going to help you guys out, but I can talk a little louder if that makes you feel better. David said it hasn't changed for me. Nothing, even that second try didn't change it. Probably something else keeping it down. Yeah, let's just look at the settings here. We're live. What could be more fun? Let's see. What do I want to do here? I want to go into audio settings. We'll go into the master output. Looks good to me, guys. Sorry if it's not as loud as normal. I apologize. Let's get back here. Okay, so I think I've said hi to everybody. Let's just see. David says audio is fine. Yep, even 1 dB didn't improve. Okay, well, we're going to go and move on because we got lots to cover tonight. So first thing I want to say is this. You can, again, Look at lots of different interfaces for your studio, or if you want to do podcasting, there's now new devices by Mackie. Rode purchased Mackie. We talked about that a couple times here on the channel. I'm not sure how that's going. I have mixed emotions, excitement, and then reservation, because the competition is always good. And now Rode has purchased their competition. And Tom Buck actually and Curtis Judd both said great things about the Mackie interfaces. I have not played around with the Mackie interfaces, but I hear they're really good. DJ Ware says audio is fine. Okay, well, let's carry on. Thank you for your permission, David, to carry on. Okay, so what is the RODECaster Pro version 2 really good for? Well, let's just get the old one out. Deck Saver cover. You can buy a cover now for RODECaster Pro II, I believe, from Rode, but I purchased the Deck Saver cover. This is the original version. It's dusty. I use this as my mobile kit, and I can take this to an on location and record from it. You still have the pads. You still have the same amount of channels. You have the LCD screen, a little bit different format, and we'll look at a comparison here tonight. On the back, you do not have dual connectors. You have 4 XLR ins, but no Neutrik, so you don't have the 1/4 inch instrument in. So you're not going to be able to use this as a mixer, take it to a location and plug in a guitar or something like that, or a keyboard, unless you have a 1/4 inch to XLR input. So it is nice to see the changes in the RODECaster Pro version 2. They did add another USB-C port, which gives you the ability really to have 3 different settings. You can have a chat setting in your main USB-C out. You can have, which would be mix minus in it. You could have a regular setting for transferring all your files or using your computer, so you could actually take a laptop and record directly multi-tracks to your laptop, or you can record to the little SD card, the micro. The set still had 4 headphone outputs, so that did not change. But one of the big changes is traditional power cord. Now it's a USB-C input on the new RODECaster Pro II. And you also lost this 1/8 inch jack as far as being able to come in with your phone into that jack right here, or your headphone jack. So this would be your headphones on the front. Now you only have the ability to use the 1/4 inches in the back. But also, you lost this little phone jack right here when you went to the RODECaster Pro version 2. So I used to adapt my phone this way rather than using Bluetooth, and I could take a caller and actually come directly from the preamps on an iPhone directly into the preamps inside the RODECaster Pro. That was a way better way to go. It's line level, I believe, by design. But you still can Bluetooth in a phone nowadays, but you don't have that little hookup, and you don't have this little adapter on the front for 3.5, so you're going to have a 1/4 inch headphone jack in order to plug it in. But channel 1 and this channel right here are identical, so you would just choose either on the front or the back, but I liked being able to plug into the front. So this is the RODECaster Pro original version. That's the profile look. There is no mount on the back. And so now let's set this down and close the case. And let's do this. So here they are, side by side comparison. So original right here, right here, and the replacement right there. And let's try to get a little better grip without losing it. So we'll put those side by side, and you can see the size comparison right there, but very similar in design. So here again, I have it in my hands, and I'll show you guys mine on my desk, but you can see that you have the same amount of dials, same amount of pads. You do add these buttons over right here, so I can go over to a different set and change. That's not the same. You have to go inside the menu system, the LCD screen in the RODECaster Pro. But again, here's the back. And we're not going to talk about the back tonight, so I wanted you guys to see it now. So again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 XLR/1/4-inch Neutrik connectors. You still have right and left outputs right here. And then you have 4 headphone jacks. Again, the little phone jack is not here anymore. Then you have a USB-C 1 and USB-C 2. You have your little micro SD card. And then the SD USB-C power right here with a power button. And again, there is no micro headphone jack on the front. You can see if I can get myself out of focus. So, but you also have a mount on the bottom. So you have a VESA mount, so you can mount this. And if you want to see this mounted, go over and check out Tom Buck's channel, because he has this mounted in all his videos, and it's really cool when he's not got it in his hand. So pretty much the same, but a lot more features. This has got a computer built into it. Lots of updates. We're going to review the updates before we touch the RODECaster Pro on my desk. But again, not a big profile on your desk. And if you get the 2-channel version, it's even, the Duo, it's even smaller. So if you don't need to have 4 people ever join you with microphones in studio, the most you ever need is 2 if you're doing a podcast. This is a perfect tool because you can record to the pads, you can do effects on the pads, you can program the pads to do fade in and out. You can even set a pad up to let you talk to one person in studio. So the caller that would be calling in through Bluetooth or anything, anybody else in the studio wouldn't be able to hear that conversation. You can do MIDI control with this and set it up to run from your computer software, Mac or PC, as well as do lots of little effects. You can do different mixes and lots of cool things that you can do with the pads now, and they're now smart pads. And we'll look at those when we get down on the desk. So you have mute and solo buttons on the front. You can set those up. You can decide what you want headphone 1, 2, 3, and 4 to receive. You can do separate mixes, separate outputs. And then again, I have my PC coming into my RODECaster Pro II on my desk. I also have my laptop coming into my RODECaster Pro II on my desk. So that's 2 USB-Cs, one going to a laptop, one going to my PC. So if I decided that I wanted to use my computer to do Zoom calls or my laptop to do Zoom calls, I have RODECaster Pro audio either way. And so it really gives me the ability to have lots of options. And then if I want a wireless microphone, typically I'm going to use the DJI mic kit and go directly in to the second input on my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. Because if I was, and even demoing tonight, if I go into transfer mode to communicate between my PC laptop and my RODECaster Pro II, it mutes all the channels. So you wouldn't hear me if I wasn't using my DJI mic tonight. So we'll switch over to that and hopefully everything will work again. So you have the one control on the front, and now this controls all of the effects. So whatever effect parameter you tap on, you can adjust that parameter with this knob. So it's a multi-purpose knob. Right now it is used in my other RODECaster Pro to set the gain level to go to the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO for you guys to hear me through the RODECaster Pro II tonight. So yes, I do have 2. This is eventually going to go in Studio B if I ever build it. But in reality, it's also a portable podcasting kit. So if I needed to do more technical work, I could take this because it has a lot more capacity of what I can do with it. But pretty much everything's the same, with except this adds reverb effects and delay effects. You can even delay the audio coming out of it. So the master audio could be slowed down so it could catch up to your video output. so I don't have to use the delay built into the ATEM Mini Extreme or the Mini Pro. I could use a delay built into that, and we'll talk about that as well. So I love this. Again, Mackie has something very similar, and now Mackie and Rode are all one big family. So you can use condenser mics in this. You can use instruments because you do have the 1/4-inch Neutrik plugins, just a fancy name for a dual plugin. And so you can do instruments in here. Now you have reverb and delay for instruments. You can also just plug in a pedal into your guitar into a pedal and then come out of the pedal line into this. So you can set it for line. And now you can use 3 of the different Rode wireless microphones. I believe the Go 2, the new Go Pro, and the Me, I think all will hook up to this. So you can take a single transmitter and you can use this to receive it. So now you could have a Rode lavalier microphone and you'd be able to Bluetooth right into this. And from what I read, you can do 2 channels. So you could do that twice. So you could have a podcast with 2 different people wearing those wireless microphones. And then you would have to use microphones for any other guest, and they would have to be wired. So lots of options, lots of things that you can do with this. And again, you could take a tripod around with you and just mount this and keep it off the table. And then produce just on the fly. So a great setup would be like an 8-foot table or like a 7-foot table, 4 people on it with it long ways. You would be on a stand off of the table doing all the producing, wearing their headphones, and you would be listening to channel 1 if you were going to produce it, or splitting channel 1 and then letting someone else use channel 1 on the table. But the other 3 people would have their own headphones, their own mix. And the cool thing about this is that you could use this for live events, because now you can do a special mix for each person on their headphones. So if you had a bass player, guitar player, someone doing vocals, someone doing backup vocals, then you could do separate mixes for them, and they could have in-ears plugged into the back of this, or they could just use headphones, and you could do a little set with this. So pretty cool. So there's 4 inputs, but there's also a Bluetooth input, and there's the USB-Cs coming into it, and you're able to choose which one of these faders you want to control what microphone. So you're not stuck with mic 1 on the left. I have it set up right now where mic 1 is the far left. This second one is my PC, my laptop. I think this one is my PC. Then I go to my overhead condenser microphone, which is channel 2. And then tonight, channel 4 is right here. And that's the new pod, or the older pod mic, which we're going to do a test of tonight. So again, I just wanted you to see it. And in my hand, rather than just sitting on my desk with everything plugged into it. So hopefully this gives you guys a better idea of what this thing is capable of doing. And we'll look at questions before we go to the desk. Okay, let's get back here to all of this stuff. The original RCP, or RODECaster Pro, looks so dated. Yeah, but it was absolutely the coolest tool. And so such a great interface, in my opinion. I might be biased. This video is not sponsored. I've never received anything free from Rode. I'm working with them right now because both of my RodeCaster Pro IIs occasionally will do weird things. I don't know if it's because they're overheating or if I have too many things plugged into my laptop. But I'm communicating with them right now. I received an email back from customer service today, and we'll just see how this works tonight. Everything seems to be working today, but occasionally it just gets weird, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we play around with the smart pads. Okay. We had fun last night trying things out on the stream. It's always fun to try things live. Yeah, it's an absolute blast fooling yourself right in front of people watching you fool yourself. So, but that's part of the fun with live streaming, is to try things out. So good to have you, Camille. Thank you for joining me. Well, that's all the chat that I have right now. So let me get a drink. So the way this works is I'm going to use my OBS to project on the desk and talk about this for a while. So hold your questions for a few minutes. You guys can chat back and forth. But if you have any questions as I'm going through the menus, I can see the chat right here. And again, let me go through the cameras here real quick. This one timed out. Let's fire it back up. So I've got camera 1, obviously camera 2, and now I have camera 3. So we've changed things up a bit in the studio. This was my overhead cam, and I have a little light here I can turn on, and I'm going to be using this view for some videos, but it's just for fun tonight to show you guys that. But I can look over there and answer questions on the chat if I need to. Let me look here. Okay, well, let's talk about this real quick. So Peter is saying, welcome, by the way. In my studio, I have quite a few devices, which I need to connect to the RODECaster Pro. In order to do this, I have a Mix 600 connected to channel 1 and 2 in a split stereo format. Yeah, again, these mixers and having the ability to come into these Neutrix inputs really opens up a lot of possibilities. So I could actually bring, and I did, I can bring my Studio Live SC. It's a 32 channel mixer. It's got 16 inputs on board, and then I have another 16 available to me in a stage box. But I could come out of it into my RODECaster Pro II, and I could have a band playing behind me and still bring it into my live show using channel 1 and 2. And you have the ability to stereo those inputs and do lots of things inside the software. In fact, in reality, there's so many features inside the RODECaster Pro II that there's really no way I can cover all of it tonight, but I do want to go through the menu, and I do want to start helping you guys understand why I have one and why I'm not using my PreSonus Studio Live SC inside the studio. It's so much bigger. I don't need all those channels, and I really can do a lot of the same things that I would do with that device with the RODECaster Pro. Plus, the fact that they have great preamps and really good gain now, way better than they had on the RODECaster Pro version 1. In fact, you have to use a cloud lifter or some kind of line lifter. What that means is you plug your microphone into a device that you power, and then it increases the input gain before you get to the RODECaster Pro version 1. Because if you just try to plug an SM7B into it, you just don't get enough gain. And if you don't get enough gain, the microphone really doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And you don't get the good sound that you can get out of this microphone. Also, RODECaster Pro purchased Aphex, which was basically a live radio type effects processor. They purchased the rights to that, or they own it now. And so now they have that ability built into the RODECaster Pro version 1 and version 2. And so it has a feature called the Big Bottom, which gives you really good boost in the low end, give you that radio type voice sound. I have it on right now. And then you have an Aural Exciter, which is really good with voices that aren't like nasally like mine. So if you have a real pure voice, it kind of gives you that upper sheen on your voice. It's a great tool to use. I used to have effects that would do that in my old recording studio, but now you have the ability to add that Aural Exciter right inside the RODECaster Pro. So you can turn that on or off, but it is built in. Plus, like I said, now you have delay and reverb as well, and that really comes into play when you want to use instruments or anything like that. So cool products. Okay, so I think officially we're caught up, so let's do this. Okay. And did I set Tell me I set up a super source for this. We'll do this to start. Let's just create a super source. So let me bring this over. We'll go to this view right here. And let's see, do I have a super source macro made for this? No, I did not make one for this. Great, way to go, Keith. So we'll just use this one. So I'm going to steal that box right there. So all I got to do is go into SuperSource. Now, SuperSource is only available if you get the bigger consoles. It's not available in the A10 Mini Pro ISO, but it is available in the Extreme and Extreme ISO and the STI ISO version, as well as the newer consoles. The HD new rack mount does not have SuperSource, but when you get to the 2ME and 4ME and up, they do have SuperSource. So you have 4 boxes available, and you can see a sample right here that you can do 4 boxes. I'm using 2, so you can see 2 is on and 1 is on. But if you look at 3, it's off, and if you look at box 4, it's off. So we're going to go to box 2, and then I can choose the source. We're going to change this to my PC, and you can see I have my laptop and my PC available. So you're looking at my laptop right there. That's my desktop on my laptop. That is my desktop on my PC. So there is the RODECaster Pro. And this is the Insta360 link that I'm using. And I have a couple different views. Here's a closer up view of the screen. And so the first thing I want to show you is the settings on this SM7B right now. But let's go back to this look. So move the coffee out of the way. You guys don't need to see that. So you have obviously a solo button. You can decide how you want this to work in the software. You have a mute button, which is simply muting it. So when I'm playing my intro video, I have this muted. When I'm done and I say goodnight, I mute this so I don't have to worry about the microphone coming through. And I do have 3 live microphones. I have this microphone, the SM7B. I have my Podmic on a stand right here. And then I also have this microphone right here plugged in, and this is a Rode condenser shotgun microphone designed to just shoot right here and pick up this area and deflect sounds on the side. That's what these ribs are for. And so we'll A/B these tonight so you guys can listen to them. This is not on right now, but we will turn it on eventually. So back to the screen here. Let's see, are you going to give me some problems? Let's go back to this. Let's try that again. There we go. So now if I push on that button, let's zoom out just a little bit so you can see this. If I push this button, and they're color coded, I could change the colors if I wanted to. Right now I have this fader, and they're not auto faders like I have on my Studio Live, which is really nice. They'll go back to wherever I had them set before if I want to save the settings. But these are manual faders, and if I bring this up and down right now, the volume is going to go up and down to the live stream, so we're not going to do that. But if I push this button right here, it's going to change the LCD screen to this channel, and you can see I have a limiter and compressor. I think you guys can see that, but we'll look at that closer here in a minute. So I'm going to push this button, and it's going to change to that window. And now we'll zoom into this like that. And now you can see I have it set for a SM7B. It's one of the presets. It sets the EQ, and it really gives you the best sound without any processing for this particular microphone. And I could do that as well. When I was in my studio, I had a bunch of different microphones, and each microphone needed a different EQ. So you need to take the time. You need to take the time to do that and set it up. But it's nice to have these presets already in here. And I can scroll through these presets just with my finger. Try to be careful that I don't activate them. You got the RE, you got the NT1 Rode microphone, NT1 old version, the Podcaster, RODECaster, the Podmic, and then now you can see you have the wireless ability to come in with the Rode wireless microphones. You got a condenser, which is what I have my overhead microphone set at, and a dynamic. And again, if you don't have your microphone on this list, then you just need to make a choice. Is it a condenser microphone? That's a microphone like the SM7B. It doesn't need phantom power. Or is it a condenser microphone? And if it was a condenser microphone right there, you would then choose that and you would turn on phantom power, and phantom power on and off is right there. And then you can reverse polarity. And tonight I did reverse the polarity. So when we do test the two microphones, they don't cancel each other out. So, and that's one way that you can fix microphones that are canceling each other out. And no time to really talk about that, but in reality, the waves hit each other and mute each other. And when you change the polarity, the waves are going the opposite direction. So if this wave is going like this, the other wave is going like this. And that's what polarity is all about. And you can reverse polarity on all the new boards out there that are digital. They usually have the ability to change that. So you can scroll down and now you can see I can bring in an instrument or just line level. So if I just wanted to bring in another soundboard in, I could bring it in on channel 1 and 2, make channel 1 left and make channel 2 right, or vice versa. And I would set it to line level, and then the gain would change appropriately. Right now I'm using 63 dB of gain, but it goes up to 70. And I think the new Mackie devices go up to 80. So I'm pretty sure this is 70. It might be 77. We'll look at the specs later. So that is channel 1. And then on the right, you can see all the processing ability. I have processing on. So we're going to talk about that just for a second here. In fact, let's do this. Let's mute this microphone. Testing 1, 2. So that's the overhead microphone. That should be good. So I'm just going to get this out of my way for a second so I can actually control this. So hit channel 2, and you can see that it is one of the USB-C channels. By default, this would be mic input 2, mic input 3, mic input 4, but you can also move them around. That's what's cool about this being computer controlled. It's like a big matrix, so I can do what I want. I can mix what I want. I can have this channel play back how I want it to, and I can actually record multi-tracks either to the SD card or to my computer right from the RodeCaster Pro if I enable it, and I do have multi-track enabled tonight. I can also go from channel to channel up here with the arrow. So there's my channel 1, that's USB-C 1, that's USB-C 2, that's microphone 4, which is my condenser microphone. You can see I have a condenser. That's my off. Back on. And you can see I have the gain set at 45. It's a little hot. Testing 1, 2. So the louder I talk, the higher it gets. It's still a little hot. So we'll bring that down. Check, check, check. So you really want the levels between the green. And you can see the green bar. Let me get a pointer here. I'm gonna use the pen instead of my finger. There's like a green area right here, from right here to right here, and that's where you want the levels at. So this is the input gain, and you hit the minus to bring it down, the plus to bring it up. And then if I wanted to reverse polarity, I would do it right there. Polarity is off, so it's set to normal. And then phantom power is on, and you need phantom power for condenser microphones. So processing is on again, and we will turn some processing off a little bit later when we start testing the two microphones, the SM7B versus the RODECaster Podmic, or the RODE Podmic. There's channel 2, and that's the Podmic. You can see I have it set to Podmic. That's this little puppy right here. And I have the gain set at 52 dB. I have phantom power off because it is a dynamic microphone. And it's a little confusing because if you just see your mic on the list and you click on it and you don't get any sound, you might be using one of the Rode condenser microphones, or you may not know the difference between a dynamic and a condenser microphone. It would be in your paperwork if you buy the microphone new. And condensers are going to be more apt to pick up a lot of noise in the room. So you really want to control the sound of condensers. That's why pencil condensers like the shotgun microphone that I have above my head, these microphones actually have vents on them, and you can see the little slots, and that keeps the sound from the side coming in. And the whole goal of that is to control all of that craziness. Let's try this camera angle one more time. It's persnickety when I cut back from my overhead shot and back to the desk shot, because it literally has to switch the whole camera around. Another thing that's really cool about the Insta360, it has the standard direction, it has a desk direction, so it would shoot down at your desk if you just want people to have it on you and then have it on your hands and your desk. And then it has a reversing mode that it shoots directly down on your desk. And I'm actually changing presets from one setup to another as I change these settings with it. And I love this camera for showing my desk. So again, the Podmic, this is not the USB version. This is the $100 version. It's a great sounding microphone. We're going to listen to it tonight. It is a condenser, dynamic microphone. It does not need phantom power, and it is rocking right now, but I have it muted on the board right here. So if you wonder why you're not hearing it, is that I have it muted right here. I also have the pads muted, and I did have my overhead microphone muted, but now I've muted my SM7B, and you can see that right here. It's red, red, red. This is not red, so it's not muted, red. And then the pads right here are not muted, so we'll mute the pads and we'll unmute that later. So lots of things that you can do inside this software. So we'll go back into the Podmic, and you can see the processing is off. So if I was to just click on this button, it brings all the processing on. And then if I clicked off again, just tapping, it's a touchscreen, it will go off, and then there is no processing. There are presets. If you don't want to mess with all the different processing, you can set it to neutral, podcast studio, broadcast, or just my preset called Keith. So you can literally save presets if you so desire, which is really cool. And the plus arrow right here is how you would set another preset. So you would tune it all up the way you want that microphone. You would set the effects the way you want it, and then you would hit a plus and then name it, and you would be ready to rock. So back to processing. So when we turn this on, the processing's on, but I can mess with each one. This is a high pass filter. Go back, click on this. This is a de-esser that gets rid of the sibilances, the S's, and then go back. This is the noise gate. So this will cut out the noise below the noise floor. And you can see this is the noise floor right here. So everything below this line is being cut out. So when I stop speaking, anything that would be making noise down here is going to go away, because I have the noise gate on, off, on. So I can turn it on and off with these buttons right here. And then I can also change the settings. So if I wanted to change threshold, I'd click on it, and now watch the threshold. I can change it with the knob, because whatever I have lit up, I can control with the knob now when I'm in a certain setting, but I have to light them up. They go green, and now I can control them with this one knob. So one knob to control all these. But if you like to do that instead of having to mouse around, this is great, because you actually have a knob to do this. So let's get out of this. I can just go forward as well. Now I'm in the compressor, or I can hit the back arrow and click on the compressor. So this is the compressor, and you can see the settings. It is on, compressing. Then I'm just going to hit the over button right here. Now I'm in the equalizer, so I can set the EQ. I can go here and turn the exciter on or off. So the exciter is off. Normally I don't have the exciter on my voice, but for some reason tonight, oh no, it's off. because I want big bottom on, and then you can just turn these dials completely off if you want it off. So this is the Aphex, and you can see the Aphex logo right here. This is the section that you can turn on the big bottom and tune it, which is low, like a low excitement to your voice boost, and then which would be great for a bass guitar, really cool. And then you can have the oil exciter, which is really going to excite your voice. And you can choose what frequency you want to excite, and you can use harmonics. So it's using harmonics. There's also plugins that you can get with some of the more high-end mixers. When you're doing mixing in your laptop or your PC or your Mac, you can use different plugins that are built into Adobe Audition that will excite the vocals. But this is designed to go out, do a podcast remotely, and you can do some of these effects right inside the box. The next one is panning. So I could pan this left or right. That's going to be important, especially if you're going to use channel 1 and channel 2 to pan left and right to bring in another board. Or if you just wanted one person vocally on the left and one person on the right, and then maybe one more vocal in the middle. So you got backup vocal left, backup vocal right, and then someone in the middle. You can do your panning right from here. And now we're back to the high pass filter, and you can see that the high pass filter has a roll off right down at 70 hertz. So that's rolled off. So any rumbling of a truck going by, you're not going to pick up on this channel. And we're in microphone 2. So we'll go over one more, and we're back to the de-esser. So we've covered all the effects. And again, you can go to the presets, or you can go into the regular processing. And then also you have one more screen inside this. Again, you get to it by just pushing a button. There's my SM7B. There is the Shure microphone right there. And so processing is on. Processing is on my SM7B. This is muted, so you're only hearing my SM7B right now. But if we go over to effects, now I have the ability to turn on an echo effect. And that's on or off right here. Echo, 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 echo. Don't have my headphones on. Let me pop those on. Testing 1, 2, check. And then back out of that, over here to reverb, turn reverb on and off. So you have the ability to turn those effects on and off right here. And the on and off switches are right here on the side. On, off, reverb, on, off. And then the dials, again, can be adjusted with the knob. You can see it adjusting the level right there. And that should be off. Check, test. Okay. So that is this part of the board, how to adjust each of the channels. And obviously it changes what you can do when you get into the USB channels. So you can see that you have the USB volume setting, the output routing, so you can actually route the audio where you want to route it. And you can choose main mix, mix minus, or custom. So in the USB settings, I can actually set it to a mix minus. And if you don't know what a mix minus is, if I have a guest on the phone, I don't want their voice going back to them. So mix minus adjusts everything so they can hear what we're talking about. They can hear any music I play in the studio, but they don't get back in their headphones their audio, so they don't get that little -second delay and drive them crazy. Mix minus fixes that, and you do that by just choosing main mix. I can do a custom mix and choose what I want to go through that USB port. I can just do mix minus, which is what I normally do with USB 2, which is what I'm in right now, or main mix. But usually USB 2 is what I'm using when I'm doing a Zoom call, so I leave it set to mix minus. So that's what you get when there's USB. Then if we come over here all the way, we have the pads. We'll come back to those. And then we have Bluetooth. So Bluetooth, I can have processing on or off. I can change the input. Oops. Let's go back. I can change the input gain. I can change the output routing. And I can also do the presets. I can actually do the advanced settings in here. And I can actually connect to an output or an input inside the RodeCaster Pro through the Bluetooth. And the Bluetooth has its own volume control. But again, I can use those sliders if I want for whatever I want. So if I'm not going to use Bluetooth, then I can assign the sliders to the 4 microphones and the 2 USB plugs, or I could do one to USB-C, one, the other one to Bluetooth, depending on what kind of podcast I'm going to do. But what do you do if you run out of faders and you want to adjust something like right here? You can see, let's go to this view. Right here, you can see 3 items. The Bluetooth is not assigned to a fader. So you got the pads assigned to a fader. I've got my Podmic assigned to a fader. I've got my other overhead microphone assigned to a fader. I have my USB 1 assigned to a fader, USB 2 assigned to a fader, 1 and 2, and my main microphone that I'm using right now in the studio. So what do you do if you want to access these 3? You just simply tap on them. So Bluetooth, I would tap on it, and now I have volume control. You can see it's going up and down there. Can tap out of it. There's channel 3. I can bring it up and down, tap out of it, and then there is the extra USB-C setting. So again, they're not all the same power. We're not going to go into those tonight, but you have 3 ways to communicate with your laptop. 2 to your first USB-C out and 1 to your second USB-C out. But that's really cool because if I wanted to play certain music when I was gaming, my own music back into my live stream, I could set up one of those USBs for that. I could mute it until I start gaming, then I could unmute it and bring the volume up. So what they're hearing on my gaming channel could be one thing, and what they're hearing on my YouTube live streaming channel, like this one, could be another thing. So it's really important that you have 2 different ways to route whatever you want to come in there, because I may have a separate set of music that's coming in through Bluetooth for my live stream from my phone, music that I've licensed, and that's just playing in the background, and I can bring that separate mix in using these different USB-C outputs. So USB-C 1 has 2 choices for mixing, and USB 2 has 1, but all 3 of them you can use mix minus assigned to those, which is really, really cool. Okay. So that's the main screen. And again, you have 2 choices of faders. If we go into the settings, you have these high-tech broadcast faders. And if you go in here into the settings menu and you go to faders, oh, no, not there. Go into, let's see, output. Metering. And there's your choices. You got default level meters and you have broadcast level meters. So we'll go to default. Go back to the home page. They look like this. There's no little teeny markers. They're just basically a level screen with no marks, which is not very good. So I use the broadcast faders. And again, that is the home screen. You can back out again like that in the settings. I could be in the display. I could be in the metering section, and I can just go to the home screen immediately, or I can back out each step of where I was until I get back to the main screen, or I could just simply go back to the home screen and I'm back to that area. So that's how the inputs work. Again, you could put 1/4 inch or XLR in the back of it. All we've covered is the basic screen for processing the effects all of that for bringing in devices, Bluetooth, it bringing in a microphone, bringing in an instrument. You can set it up just like we said. Each individual microphone can be set up to what you want it to be. It can be microphones, condensers, dynamic microphones, or it could be a guitar or a line in, and you would change it appropriately. So, okay, so let's get out of that. Go back to me and a logo. Turn the chat on, and let's just catch up in the chat, and then we'll get back into some more things like the headphones, routing, and we're going to look at the software tonight. So again, we're going to need at least another half hour, guys, to bust through this, but let's catch up here with the chat. Chat on the air. Let's see here. How much gain does it have? Well, let's just look over here. I think it's 77 if I remember right. Let's go to Rode's site. Should have wrote that down, but I apologize. I've covered it before on my channel, but I think it's 77 or 72 dB, but we're going to go find out right now. I do have a couple things open here I wanted to show you guys, but we'll find this information here real quick. $76 dB of gain. It is right here on their page. So 0 to 76 dB. So that's really good gain. And I think the Mackie devices have 80 or so. So plenty of gain for any kind of microphone. But that is a great question. While we're on here, this is the Podmic that we're going to look at tonight. It's $100. They now have come out with a USB version, and it's $200, and it's right here. So you can use an XLR input on the back of this or a USB out. So if you just want to use it with your laptop, USB-C in, you can. Wave has great software for controlling it with the same effects that you get out of a RodeCaster Pro II. It's free to download. So if you bought that microphone, you can plug it in USB-C into your laptop, your PC, your Macintosh, your Mac Mini, whatever has a USB-C port 3.0, and then download the free software, and you're going to have some of those really good effects built into that software, which is free, and that's amazing. And you can do routing and mixing from that and use it as a gaming microphone. It is really super powerful. And again, that's available for your phone as well as for your laptop or your Macintosh or your PC. So those are the two microphones. RodeCaster Pro, and we'll come back to this page here a little bit later. Let's get the chat back on and move on here. Yeah, I brought the coffee more into view. I saw that as well. Yeah, I did bring a guest in through the RodeCaster Pro and the RodeCaster Pro II. I'm not going to demo it tonight, but I will demo it in the future. Literally, once your phone is Bluetooth in, obviously you're going to set mix minus. All they got to do is call in. You can mute the channel. I can set up through the smart pads a ability to talk just to the guests. So I could hold a button down on the smart pad, talk just to my guest. They could talk just to me, and you guys wouldn't hear any of that conversation. Lift my finger up again, and you would hear me, and you can program that into the smart pads. Lots of features that you can You can program the smart pads to do a fade in, fade out. So you could start your music and then hold the fade in pad and it'll fade in your music. You can do the same thing if you want to end your stream. You can create a pad to fade out your music. There's effects built into the pads already. A lot of cool effects, robot effects and all of that. That's, again, we'll look at those here in a minute. But yeah, you can actually bring in a guest. I've done it before. I've actually recorded podcasts where we bring guests in. So I could go remote. In fact, I'm going to meet with a friend tonight with my RODECaster Pro I and II, and I'm going to show them what they're capable of doing tonight after tonight's live stream. And they are going to become a client of mine, and they're going to purchase their own equipment, but I'm taking it to them. It gives me the opportunity for local clients to go demo it live and show them what they can do differently between the RODECaster Pro I, the original version, and the RODECaster Pro II. I do not own a Duo, but I do recommend the Duo for anybody that just wants to do a two-person podcast and a caller, because you can do that with the Duo as well. So it's really cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the effects. I'm just going to roll through, but those effects work. I don't know why I have them routed incorrectly, so you guys aren't hearing them. Probably no volume was on the effects bus, so... or are we not meant to? I'll look at it later, David, see if I can't figure that out. Good to have you, even though you're late. Cool, I'm glad you guys have learned some stuff so far. Let's turn chat off the air and my Skycam back on. And let's go back into me and my laptop. And then let me bring that camera back in here. I really do need to program a macro for SuperSource Channel 2. Okay, so let's go to this other view. So now you have the smart pads and 4 inputs for headphones. So if I go into the settings icon on the top right, go to faders, I have the ability to drag what I want to use my main faders. I drag these up and they'll take the spot. So these are the ones that I have physical faders for, and these are the ones that I have to use the touch screen and the knob to control. So I can still access these, I just do not have faders for them. So I can bring this Bluetooth up to here if I wanted to, or here or here. So I can just simply drag and drop this up. Now, channel 3 is up there and my smart pads are down there. I don't want that. So we're going to drag that up and switch them. I can change the order, but I have the ability to do all of that. Outputs, I can go to my headphones and I can choose. There's a couple choices. These are headphones that have pretty good gain. They just came out with these at Rode. You have typical earbuds, high sensitivity ones, and then you have traditional ones that says once you click on that, this will increase the headphone output. Please turn down your headphones first. So if you have headphones that don't have really good gain, you want to use that setting and hit the OK button, and then that's going to control headphone number 2, which is the knob I have. That's the controls for headphone 1, 2, 3, 4. So all 4 of those knobs are assignable right there, what type headphones you have. You can do that from right there. Monitors, I can change the settings on the monitor. Auto mute monitor output. So if you're just in your studio and you're going to use it for a live stream or for a Zoom call, and you're not trying to send the output of the monitors into your ATEM like I'm doing, then you can have it set so that it mutes anytime you bring a channel up, a microphone channel up, it mutes your studio microphone. So you're only going to hear it in your headphones. You're not going to hear it in your studio, and that would be automatic. I don't want that tonight because my live audio would die. But if I'm just inside my studio and I wasn't ever going live through my ATEM Mini, then yeah, I would have that turned on so that anytime I bring a level up on my microphone, I don't get feedback. Especially with my condenser microphone, it feeds back like crazy. So you got to be really careful not to have your room speakers on when you turn this on. So you can set that up, auto mute Bluetooth output. So when enabled, Bluetooth output will be muted when a microphone channel fader is lifted. So these are some options that you have. Fixed output level. When enabled, monitor output levels will be set to a standard line level and cannot be adjusted. So if you just want it to come out line level out of your right and left 1/4-inch monitor outputs, you can set it that way. That way you could go from your RodeCaster Pro into a soundboard and then play it in the house. Why would you do that? Well, if I went to a venue and I wanted to do a podcast on the stage and I was gonna live from my phone or live from something there, but I wanted the audience in the room to hear it, then I would come out of the right and left channel, I would turn that on, and I would go line level into the house, and then they would put it on the main speaker so everybody in the room could hear us. So that makes sense. So I could do it live to a live audience on the internet, and then I could come out of the outputs of the RodeCaster Pro version 2 and go out into the room and then have the sound tech bring my levels up there. Or I could be the sound tech if I wanted to take the RodeCaster Pro and do a live interview on the stage for a live stream audience and do a podcast recording, but also hear the people in the room hear me, and then they could record it on the soundboard if they wanted to, but my recording would be available for me when I left the building. That's one way you could use that. So I leave those off. So now you have routing. So this is the ability to route. What do I want to route? Do I just want a main mix, or do I want to create a custom mix? So I can make a custom mix for the headphones, a custom mix for my outputs. I can make a custom mix or a special setup for recording, main mix or custom mix. I could choose what I want to be recorded when I hit this record button, but I'm going to leave it for main mix. I can change settings to Bluetooth and change it to mix minus custom. We talked about that. USB 1 and 2 are the same thing, but again, I have the ability to individually mix those channels. So if I wanted you to be a bass player and you only wanted the drums and my guitar, you didn't want my vocals because you're just playing along, then I could go in here and just give you what you wanted to hear in your in-ear monitors. Again, that's available on this routing page. Then you got the listen page. You can do after fader listen, pre-fader listen, and that means that you can affect the sound in the headphones before you lift the faders or after you lift the faders. What do you want to hear? Do you want to control the volume and it never change? Or do you want to be able to hear the volume go up and down? That's set right here in the listening, and that affects these solo buses right here. Multi-track recording is post-fader. You can do pre-fader or you can turn multi-recording off. And so if I want to do multi-tracks, I can do multi-tracks. So I'll get a recording of every single channel. It'll be in a folder and I can download that, or I can put it on the SD drive and bring it in later. Either way, I can record to my laptop or record to the SD card. I think it's always wise to record to the SD card and have a backup recording, but you can go directly to your laptop or your Macintosh from here. So you can go pre-fader, post-fader. So that would affect the recording. So I push button right now. It's only you're going to record the stereo mix. So I can't go back and change it. But if I turn that post fader, that's going to be after the effects, my big bottom and all of that I have set in the board, or pre-fader. That means I'm only going to get a level gain on all of those multi-tracks. I can bring them into my mixing software later, add whatever effects I want to after the podcast. But most people are probably going to mix it in a live setting and make it post-fader so that that recording that goes onto your SD drive has all the effects, the big bottom, all the channel volumes and all of that. But I don't know, whichever way you want to do it, you could fix any accidents that you made, any volume settings that were off if you do it pre-fader. So you decide if you buy your own RodeCaster Pro. Same thing in the Duo, has those same settings. Processing, you have a master compeller. So that is going to be a master compressor on the main bus, the stereo bus out. And you can see that I have that on. You can turn it off, back on again. And then here's the threshold, the attack the release and the gain. And I also have an output delay, and that's where I had set delay if I wanted the RODECaster Pro to be delayed a little bit, so my lips lined up and not use the settings inside the ATEM Mini Extreme. And where are those? Let's see, if I change this, I'm gonna have to reset it, but let's show you anyway. So those settings are right here under audio, and right here, I have 4 frames of delay. So I could set that in milliseconds in the RODECaster Pro, or I can create delay going into the ATEM Extreme, and that's what I'm doing it. I have 4 frames of delay. You can go up to 8, as little as 0, and you have that on both inputs. So 3 on that channel for the lav mic and 4 on this channel, and that's only on mic input number 1 and mic input number 2. And again, remember that the preamps are not that great in the ATEM Mini Blackmagic Design devices. So if you could embed audio coming out of the back of your RODECaster Pro using a SD converter, a HDMI converter, and embed audio come right out of the back of the RODECaster Pro, then you could bring that audio into a single input on your ATEM Mini and bypass the preamps in that 3.5 Mini Jack 1 and Mini Jack 2. So you would be bypassing these and coming in on your audio on one of your HDMI channels. Or you could put a nice condenser mic plugged into your camera. Just remember, a lot of the DSLRs do not have great preamps in them either. Very noisy. So that's the challenge. The preamps in the RODECaster Pro are pristine, very low noise floor. That means if you didn't say anything and you just listened, there's very little noise. And I have found that the RODECaster Pro is amazing sounding, but the ATEM Mini that you're listening to right now has noise, and I have to use a noise gate so that you guys don't hear it when I'm live. So that's a challenge. So let's go back to this microphone. So back on my SM7B, hopefully it's loud enough still. So let's go back into the overhead shot, close that, camera 2, go back to my PC. And so again, let's clear that. Good to have you here. Glad you made it. Hope the emergency at home was not a terrible thing and everybody is okay. So, okay. So it is 10 after. Let me cover a couple more things that I think are really cool, and that is the smart pads. So let's change our camera angle. So again, let's see, we want this one. Yeah, let's do this one. So I got the smart pads here. And so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pads. They are smart pads because they can control MIDI devices. You can program the control the RODECaster Pro itself, fade in, fade out, certain channels talking to each other. You also have effects. So if I bank over one channel, and you can see them up here. So let's go into the close-up again. So you can see the pads right here, and I can tap them here and go into a certain pad. I can go over to the effects bank, and I could go over to this bank. And then I actually have other banks as well. Empty bank, 5. So you got 5 banks as of right now. And I think you can add up to 8. So this first bank is loaded. You can load with music. So I can record on these pads. This is my music. So if I tap on it, I can name it. I can edit it. I can change the color, editing it. This is my music. So if I was to bring the volume level up and play it right now, you're going to hear my music. Let me just make sure. I don't want to get flagged. Make sure this is my music. Let's bring the control. Hit play. Evidently, I have something routed crazy. So we're just going to bypass that. So again, that is that pad. So I can edit it. I'd save it. You can see all the different things. I can toggle. I can loop on and off. I can hit replay. I can change the dB of this particular channel. So if it was too hot, I can lower and raise it. I think the maximum is 12 dB, 13. So I'm not sure. I've never tried this. I have it set at minus 12 right now. So you can bring the dB up and down, and then you would hit save. And that's this pad. So let me bring the volume up and see if that'll play. Try this again. Something is not routed into tonight's live stream for some reason. I don't know what I did. Hit it again, the pad goes off. So again, if I want to program, I go into this screen. And if I just want to play, I would hit the pad and whatever the volume is. Now let's double check and make sure this is pad volume. Go back to home. Oh, it's muted. Let's try that again. That's why it wouldn't play. I have it muted. Again, you can mute these tracks. So let's bring this up and hit it again. There we go. This is built into the RodeCaster Pro. So that's pads. All of these are programmable. So I could put whatever I want on those. I could record on those. And then if I bank over, I have effects. So let's click on these. So I have a voice disguiser. Let's go into a close-up here. So I have a voice disguiser. I have a pitch up. I have a megaphone. I have a monster. I have a large robot, small robot, a sensor button, and a ducking button. So that means I could duck audio of everybody else. So channel 1 would override everybody else that was there. So let's try one of these. Let's see. Let's do monster.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Small robot.
Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Large robot. I just wanted to know that
It's been a really bad day because I just thinking, you know what that's for. Ducking, I can't show you right now, but there's the option. I can decide what channel I want to duck. Pitch up is right here. So let's tap on it.
Check, 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 check. Hey, how are you guys doing? This one's really funny. Megaphone?
Dun, dun, dun.
And the voice disguiser. This is not who you think it is. So, really cool effects.
And one of the things I've been having trouble with my RodeCaster Pro II is occasionally it gets hot or something's going off inside my laptop and it'll just start randomly firing buttons. Good thing is everything tonight is working and in order. Now if I go over one more, now I can program these buttons. So here is an empty slot. Let's tap on it. I can do sounds. So I can record what I wanted to record on there. So I could get my microphone ready and I could do my own commercial and then play it live from that pad in my podcast. So I don't have to do it live. So if you were just doing voiceovers for commercials and you wanted to make sure you got the right take, then you could basically just play it when you're in your podcast and you wouldn't have to try to say it live or read it from a script. So let's back out of that. I can do effects. So I have these effects that I can assign, effects 1 to different microphones, and I can latch them. And then I have all of these effects that are available on the bottom. You can see these are the main effects, delay and reverb. And then you have the megaphone, the small, big robot. These effects are here. And you can adjust the levels of those. Hit the pad again. I could do mixing, so I could do a sensor button. I could do a trash talk, which is where you would have two microphones together. So if all of a sudden there was 4 people on my live stream and I wanted to talk directly to one person, I could use this button to talk just to a single person, which is best used when you have a caller, so that you can talk directly to your caller. So if I held that button down, you would be seeing my lips move, have my headphones on, but I'd only be talking to the caller, and it would look like this. We're going to bring you on really soon. It's about 5 minutes. Yeah, then you'll go. Yeah, then you'll go. So that's just me pretending, but that's what you'd use it for, to talk to a caller. Or if you had 4 people in the podcast, or let's say that one person in your podcast, they'd have to have headphones on, is the person that you need as a producer to tell them it's time to wrap it up, or they need to go to a commercial. Then you would set up your headphones, channel 1 and channel 2 or channel 3 or channel 4, so you could talk to those people, but you could also talk to someone coming in from your PC as one of your USB inputs, or you could also make that the Bluetooth incoming input. And then those people would be able to hear what you're saying and no one else would be able to hear you. That's trash talk. Fade up, fade down. That's for fading music in, fading music up. Back channel, ducking. And that would be if you want to duck by how many dB the music. So if I was playing music, let's hit ducking on that channel. So ducking is set up on that channel. We'll go to the bigger view. So ducking is set on this channel. So as I hit music here and talk over it, it should duck. So let's see if it works. Let's play music. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you'll be here next week as we go back live on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Until then, I am Keith. See you next time. Wait a minute. There's one more thing I needed to say, and that is, you guys are amazing. So that's how the ducking feature works. And yeah, I am demoing these things live, and it's fun. So let's turn that ducking off and let's get back into a close-up here and show you guys a couple more things. So that's the pads. Again, you can add different pads. Here's the MIDI section. I don't use the MIDI, but you can actually have this communicate. So momentary, latching, and you can set up the type of MIDI control, customize it, program it, and then be able to actually have your computer sending signals, or your pad sending signals to your computer, to OBS, to all those other softwares that would be running in there. So you could mute your microphone going into Zoom all through this MIDI. I've never played with the MIDI, so that's all I can help you guys do. So that's the pads again. So you have programmable pads, you have the effects in the pads, and then you have these different things that you can load in, and I can add banks. So they don't have to be separated. You could have the effects mixed in with tracks, mixed in with commercials, mixed in with muting and all of that stuff through MIDI, or you could have them separated. They come separated on the pages by default, and there you can see it. So okay, so let's just go through a couple things here real quick. Let's go into the main settings. So when you set it up, you have the ability to set up a show. I just hit the show button right here under settings. And so I can do different icons if I wanted to. I could import an icon. So my client may have their own logo. I can design it, get it ready, and import it right here. I can add a title to it right here, a show title, and you just type it with the keyboard. I can export that. That's how you bring the pictures in. I could change the default picture by just tapping on one of these. So if I want this dog on that show, now it's a dog on the show. That's not really my style, so we'll go back to the Podmic. And so these are the different recordings on that show. So here's all of my recordings that I have on my RodeCaster Pro. I can scroll up and down with the knob, and then I could tap on one of those guys And then if I want to import those, then I would go into the Connect software, and that's what we're going to look at here in a second. So that's how you set up a show. You can do a new show by clicking on that new button, and you can have as many shows, I think, as you want. You can change the brightness of your touch screen right here. You can do auto, you can do display, you can do the buttons, and you can time it to go off the air. So you don't burn up your LCD screen. I have it set to never because I turn my RodeCaster Pro off when I'm not using it. You can go into the metering, which we've already talked about. If you want haptic touch, so you can actually feel feedback when you touch the LCD screen, you can turn it on, and there's two settings right here. Here's one, haptic feedback on hold, and here's one, haptic feedback always on. So if you like to feel it when you touch the LCD screen, there you go. I just felt it when I touched then because we had it on. Record button, I can set it to press the stop record. So if I hit the record button, it'll record. If I hit it again, it'll stop. Or I can have it set to this setting, and when I hit it the first time, it's going to record. I hit it the next time, it's going to pause. Hit it again, it's going to go back into record. Have to hold it down to get recording to go off. I like it set to this setting because it's what I was used to from the RodeCaster Pro. But if someone said something they shouldn't have said and you just want to pause a recording and not end up with two recordings, you may want to set it like this so you can just hit the pause button. So we'll turn that off, hit record. I'm now recording to my RodeCaster Pro. Hit it again, I'm now recording. Hit it again, I'm now paused. Hit it again, I'm recording. Hold it down, and recording ended. So again, it goes into pause mode first, then you have to go into record mode, then it goes into pause mode, and if you want to get out of recording so you don't accidentally touch it, you got to hold down the record button until it goes green, which means it's ready to record, and you have to have an micro SD card inside of it in order for it to work. Now, if you're going to multi-track, you actually have the ability to test the SD card. And some devices, I haven't found it in this one. So make sure you read the specs and you get a card that's fast enough to do multi-track recording. I know in my Persona Studio Live, it actually has a test feature, but now you're trying to record 32 tracks, and that's huge. So that makes sense. In this, there's not that many tracks. So most micro SD cards, the newer versions will be fast enough, but make sure you read the data on the device. Okay, so faders. We talked about that. You can drag and drop them where you want. Outputs, you can decide what you want your headphones out, what kind of monitor mix you want. The routing, we talked about that. I can route what I want to these different headphones. So like headphone right there, it's on custom. I want it on regular mix. Headphone number 2, I want it on regular main mix. Headphone number 3, I want it on regular main mix. Headphone number 4, so those got switched. Again, that's for routing. So you saw that, and you can change what goes to those. Again, the listening for pre-fader, post-fader, multi-tracking, turning it on or off. Processing, we talked about the processing, but you can go into the processing from the processing screen, or you can get to it from each individual channel and go into presets or into advanced right here, and then it actually tells you disabling advanced will reset all parameters. So you can actually disable advanced features, turn it on or turn it off by tapping there. But if you just want to get into those deals, you can go into processing right here and then through the output and master delay. And again, that's for processing the main output. The individual mics, you have to go this route to get into the processing, and the effects are right there. So again, I think we know the effects are only by this controller. So let's try this again. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Reverb and echo. Reverb off. Echo off. So again, you have to make sure you have your master fader up. That runs the master fader for all your music, all your effects, including the processing inside. And then you can assign that processing to individual channels, but you still have to be able to control how much of that process you want. That's why it's assigned to this. So keep that in mind. This is going to affect your pads and your effects. So you have to change it in the settings of the effect if you want to control how much of that effect you get. So, okay, so back into settings, couple more things here. So we talked about show, smart pads, outputs, display settings. Now let's look at the system settings. So here's where you do network, and you can go into it through a cat cable or wirelessly. That's going to be set up right here. You got Wi-Fi and advanced setting for wired. Then you also have date and time right here that you can set, and you can do that when you first fire things up. Here's how you're going to connect or disconnect. Right now I'm connected to my PC, so I'd have to disconnect if I wanted to connect a wireless Go into this device. Here's the MIDI. So if I want to do MIDI control, allow bidirectional MIDI control between your computer. You have to enable it right here. I have it off. Date and time, sorry, we already did that. Language, English, obviously. And then information. If you want to do a firmware update or give them status on your device, you can give them information. You can check your analytics and tell them you want to give them analytics. I can check what version I have. I'm in 1.3.4 right now, which is their newest firmware. And so I can also check for updates, and if it's wirelessly connected or if it's through your network, it'll automatically check for firmware, not beta. You have to go in and change the settings if you want beta, but you get the newest firmware and you just hit check updates. If there's a firmware update, you just hit it. No changing SD cards. You can also do it from the software, and we're going to look at the software here now. So I think I've covered pretty much everything I can think of inside the menu. Obviously, you have headphone mixes. You have your main knob for your main outputs. So when you're on this screen, it's going to control your main output, and you can see it right there. Let's go in control closer. So there's the main output coming to you guys. You can turn the volume down and back up again right from here. And there are my meters going out of my stereo meters. And then here is my meter coming in from this microphone, and that's how I know it's hot. So I can see all of the inputs, all of the outputs, and the levels right from this screen, including all of my pads, which one is active. It will light up if I hit play. So you can see it is playing. It shows you how long it's going to play, how much time is left. So you can actually get feedback on your pads right from the screen. And if I hit stop again, it goes out. If I bank over, I can see now my effects being on or off.
Effect is on.
Effect is off. And then if I bank over, here's the pads that I made today, and they all do different things. And I just programmed those, playing around with it, getting ready for tonight's show. And I have given it no volume right now. So you guys are not going to see or hear anything because I have the volume down. So that's this device. Let me go in here and show you guys the software really quick. Bring this back over. Okay, we'll go to me and my laptop now. Here is the Rode Central. I'm going to double click on it and fire it up. I choose what device I want to access. Again, this software works with lots of different devices that Rode makes. So I have a RodeCaster Pro II. If I had another one plugged into my network, it would see it. So I literally could control all of the ones on my network. I'm going to click on mine. It opens it up. Here is the audio setup, some of the same controls. I can stereo certain channels if I want to stereo them. I have control over everything here. I can drag and drop from in here. I'm not going to go into much details on the software. Configuring my device, the brightness, the metering, the haptic sensitivity, the record button. I can do all that from the software. I can change my system settings, turn media on and off. Here's the information. All of that stuff is available. Under outputs, I can click on different type headphones that I want. All of that's available in the software. I can transfer music from my RODECaster Pro. Check, check, check. So you should have my, ooh, that is hot. Check. Check, 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 check. Testing, 1, 2, check, 1, 2. So now if I hit this continue, it's gonna shut the RODECaster Pro off until I exit out of the screen. So literally, if I hit this, my RODECaster Pro is gonna shut off, and you guys, oh man, is it that hot? Check, check, check. Sorry, I'm peeking. Let me go ahead and hit it. Live. Then on my RODECaster Pro, it says exit transfer mode. So I'm going to hit exit transfer mode. And now my RODECaster Pro is live again. So if you want to use these settings and transfer files, you have to use your RODECaster Pro. You're going to lose it. So that's why I have this microphone. So now I'm back on the RODECaster Pro, and you guys should have some audio levels. So again, inside this software, we have lots of options, but if you want to adjust the smart pads or record anything directly or drag and drop anything to a smart pad, you need to disable your RODECaster Pro, and I'm using it live right now, so I will cover this in a later video when I'm not using the RODECaster Pro. And then right here, it's the same thing. To go into this area, I'm going to do this again. And I'm going to hit continue. So you guys are hearing me on my lav microphone. So now here's your recordings. One of the things I wanted to show you is I can format it WAV, 24-bit, 32-bit. So the RODECaster Pros record in 32-bit float, which is super important. That means that you can recover audio that peaked if you've recorded it. So you can export it 24-bit, 32-bit, a WAV file, an MP3 file. I can do custom. I can turn a loudness on so I can actually export my audio from my RODECaster Pro ready to upload to the internet and set a loudness rating. So if I want it -23, I can set it right now to -23, -12, I can turn it off, and then I can export it. Any one of these recordings, I can play them from here. I can play them through my laptop speakers. I can play them through my headphones. But again, remember, this mutes your RODECaster Pro, so you're not going to hear it through your studio speakers. You're going to have to switch over to whatever laptop you have or headphones to be able to hear these recordings from this page. But you get all these options, and if you recorded multi-track, and you can see this is a multi-track recording, I can now export it. So I've clicked on it. I'm going to export this as 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. I can also change it to 44.1. I can go directly to an MP3 if I just want to give it to a client, because they're not going to be able to probably play a WAV file as easy as they can play an MP3 file. So let's go MP3 for quickness. This is a multi-track recording. It's 256-bit. I can even raise the bit rate to 320 bits, and that's how much information is held together as it goes out. That probably defaults to the highest bit rate if you turn, let's see, 24-bit, loudness, MP3. Let's go back to WAV. Let's go to 32-bit float. 32-bit float is going to have a lot more information. It's 32-bit recording, and usually you can bring back peaks if you do export 32-bit. Remember, it's recorded at 32-bit automatically, but that doesn't mean you're going to export at 32-bit. So you get the choice when you export directly from your RODECaster Pro into your desktop PC or your Macintosh. So let's do an easier file here. Let's just do this stereo recording. Let's export it 32-bit, 48 hertz, a WAV file, and let's go ahead and export it. Let's just put it in tonight's live stream. So let's go travel. Let's go live show. Let's go February 20th. And let's do new folder Rode files. And let's click on that, select, and there you go. Export in progress, export complete. So with just a quick recording, that file should be inside my computer now. And there's the file inside my computer. So if it was a multi-track, all of the recordings would be there. It just takes a lot longer to export a multi-track file, and I just didn't want to keep you guys here all night. So let's kill this. Let's go back. You saw my micro SD card pop up. So let's go back to my RODECaster Pro. It looks like it's live again. And so now I should be back on this microphone right here and not on my lav mic. So that's a quick look at the software. Again, you want to keep it updated. You want to keep your RODECaster Pro updated. And that is an overview of the RODECaster Pro. Let's turn that camera off, chat back on, chat on, camera off. And let's get some feedback before we go tonight. Let's see, do I have any chats displayed here? Okay, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about that I haven't touched on, let's chat right now. We will be out of here in about 5 minutes. So go ahead and chat. I don't want to keep you guys here for 2 hours. We've been on right now for an hour and about 30 minutes, not counting intro reel. So let's just see. Joe retracted his message. Hello, just finished the show with Eric Dickerson. Glad you're here. Glad you're here as well, Tony. We've been covering the RODECaster Pro version 2. So any other feedback or questions? Are you guys done? Did you all go home? Are you tired of hearing me talk? Let me know in the chat tonight. So that's an overview of the RODECaster Pro II, size comparison with the RODECaster Pro, and I hope you guys have enjoyed tonight's live stream. I have to wrap things up here shortly. So if you have any last minute comments or questions, if you have not hit the like button, please hit that like button. I would sure appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I did put a whole bunch of videos up on my channel, shorts as upload videos and shorts. And they're all like a behind the scenes look at different features of the Foldio 3 white box for doing high key photography. Also the Foldio 360, which gives you the ability to spin. So you can do photo spins or video spins. And so all of that's here on the channel. Check out those videos if you haven't seen them. If you want to watch them in a regular 1 minute video or under 1 minute video, you can watch those on my short playlist, or you can just view the shorts on my channel. There's 8 of those videos in both of those plays, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you, David, for that comment. I appreciate it. Keith, the Rode Guru. Well, I'm still learning. I literally learned stuff today that I didn't know. I also watched Tom Buck's video. He did a really good video on it in the very beginning, but there's been a lot of updates. So let's just do this real quick. Me and camera 3. Let's turn my light on here, and we'll keep chat on the air here. Chat on. Okay. I want to switch here real quick. Okay. I just want to review some of the updates. So when it first came out, they released a firmware update 1.0.2, and they added the new features. They introduced features that places markers when pausing and recording. So if you do use the pause feature, guys, you're going to be able to put a marker. So that would be a good reason to turn that feature on. And they improved the supported DAWs. They added support for additional Bluetooth output devices. They improved the stability, updating the firmware via USB improvements, so you could update the firmware through USB. They altered the behavior so that the mute and solo states are retained when creating a new show based on your current show. The improvements, they added saving indicators when closing a large recording. They added explanatory text to multi-track recordings. You can turn that setting off now. They improved the ability to interact with the scrubber in the SmartPad sound editor, so you can actually scrub forward and back. They fixed a bug where the hold SmartPad playback type would show incorrect. So that bug was fixed. Other bugs, they fixed a Bluetooth pairing code bug. They fixed and resolved a potential startup issue involving depressing and holding the SmartPad. So evidently that would start things up and end it. That was version 1.0.2, 1.0.4. They did some more things. Let's get play going here. Speed this up. Okay. They introduced a auto mute toggle for Bluetooth outputs. They implemented the reverb and echo buffering flushing when switching between FX, so it must be a buffer issue. They improved translation accuracy, adjusted the auto mute so that it would now only trigger by microphone faders, added support for legacy wired equivalent privacy WEP protocol on the Wi-Fi connection. They fixed the bugs, prevailing Wi-Fi password incorrect screen. They fixed a bug that would lead to incorrect FX routing when changing fader assignments, and they improved SmartPad stability when used with custom sounds. So again, that was added. And then they went to a version 1.05, and they introduced the ability to switch USB 1 main between multi-track and stereo. That's cool. New feature introduced custom routing for USB 1 main, USB 1 chat, and USB 2. So again, you can custom route anything you wanted to. That was in that update. They introduced the ability to access monitor and Bluetooth output level controls in recording playback screen. They added a new feature, the ability, better pause this, I'm going too fast. The ability to press and hold. Let's go back up here. Speed this up. Sorry, it got ahead of me. That's the prompter issue. New feature, introduced the ability to press and hold rotary encoder to mute selected virtual faders. So again, that little rotary recorder, you can now push it and it has a push feature. So that's really cool. They altered the rotary encoder behavior so that it controls the Bluetooth output level when monitors are set to fixed output. So you can actually control the Bluetooth level even though your monitors are set to fixed output. Again, that would be for going into another soundboard. SmartPad options clear when switching banks were improved. Removed channels that don't have an input assigned to them from the channel picker. Improved microSD card detection. A bug fix addressed the USB 2 hosting and audio stability. Version 1.06. New feature introduced the ability to cycle through monitor outputs and virtual channels by pressing the rotary encoder. A new feature added the ability to power down the unit, pressing the power button twice. That's good to know. Optimized ambient noise rejection when using a Bluetooth headset. That's cool. They linked voice effects and sensor buttons to sound channel with custom routing. Cool. Improvement, set custom mixes as the default mix for each output. I don't like that. I'd rather have it to be the main mix, but now it's set to each of the mix outputs. So change post fader multi-track to post mute for recording and USB. Improvements, adjusted output delay so that it is now applied to USB 1 main and USB 2 when set to main mix. So you can actually set the output delay also to USB 1 and 2. Bug fixed a bug that could lead to a power button becoming unresponsive. That's the good news. They corrected noise gate parameter labels. That must have been an issue. Fixed a bug that could prevent Bluetooth output control when in recording playback with custom routing. Fixed a bug where certain DAWs were receiving incorrect MIDI note on and note off messages, and that was for using MIDI, guys. Version 1.08, almost done. New feature, introduced advanced submix capabilities. That's mixing subgroups to every output, allowing for custom configuration of channel levels on all RODECaster outputs. Implemented various user interface improvements, adjusted MIDI mapping on smart pads. So they now begin from MIDI channel 1. Bug fixed a bug that could result in auto mute being defeated momentarily when manually muting and unmuting. A bug fixed a bug that could prevent show from importing. Fixed a bug that resets the show date and time on home screen option in a power cycle. Good news. Bug fixed a bug where processing presets were not cleared when creating a new show. So you don't have to have the same presets when you create a new show as you had before. A bug fix that could result in duplicate MIDI messages being sent by pressing a smart pad. That's not good. Version 1.09, new feature introduced advanced control over voice effects, improved how the routing mixes handled power cycling, improved the mute handling function, improved the interface for routing mixes, improved the handling of voice effects, bugs, fixed a bug that could cause the listen button not to function on virtual faders. Pause. A bug that caused the main output encoder to function incorrectly. A bug that caused the buttons not to function on virtual faders. A bug that caused the master compeller to function incorrectly. Fixed a bug that allowed the routing mixes to still access while recording. So you can still access those while recording. A bug fixed a bug that results in mix minus not functioning correctly. That's good news. Fixed a bug that caused the sensor and ducking mixer actions to work incorrectly. That's good news. Fixed a bug that would cause all audio to be muted after a reboot until a physical fader is moved. Cool. And then 1.1.2 was released on January 30th, 2023, added a main mix control for each of the headphone outputs and made this the default for these outputs. And these are the final bug fixes available, and then we're out of here tonight. Bug fixed where the gain trim control was not active for USB and Bluetooth channels. Fixed a bug where the on-off state of the listen buttons was not being retained after powering down the RODECaster Pro. And then version 1.2.0 introduced the ability to connect and use Rode Series 4 wireless transmitters such as Wireless Pro, Wireless Go 2, and Wireless Me. So you can now connect those devices directly to your RodeCaster Pro II. That's the the podcaster playing all of those firmware updates. So guys, that's as thorough as I know how to do a live stream. So hopefully that didn't bore you guys out of your gourd. And Tony likes that camera angle. So I'm so glad that you like that camera angle. So there's me in a laptop. There's me and this camera angle. And so I can sit here. You can see the back of my desk, and I can look right into my prompter tonight. And thanks to Joe, I have a monitor below camera 3 now. I have a monitor above camera 2, and I have a monitor above camera 1. And I believe Joe sent me all of those. So just a nice guy, Joe is. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this live stream. Thank you so much for hitting the like button, for subscribing. And if you're watching this video delayed and there's anything that you would like me to do, anything you would like me to show you on the RodeCaster Pro II, the Folio 3, the Folio 360, some of my Canon cameras, the stuff I have in my studio, the A10 Mini Extreme, the A10 Mini Pro, let me know. And I would be happy to do those videos for you. So until next week, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Keith. I'm going to touch mix effects right here. I wish it was on camera. Can I cheat this over just a little bit? No, I can't. Can I go wider? No, I can't. So I'm going to hit the button for the outro. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week, Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe if you haven't tonight. And thank you so much for joining me live. Until next time, I'm Keith and I'm out.